I am so excited to do a quick walkthrough of what we call the agency to asset framework. It's essentially the master framework that we use as a methodology to help our clients build stable and healthy agencies, usually with the end goal of scaling and or exiting the founder in some way, shape, or form. That can be exiting themselves from client work so that they can focus on sales and business development. It can be exiting them from operations, exiting them from sales so that they can operate in the true seat of a CEO, or exiting the business entirely to sell it. So when we're auditing an agency, we're looking at these 5 pillars for stability. And how we stack these different blocks on top of each other is how we essentially build an incredibly stable business model instead of a house of cards where a team member leaves, it falls apart. A client leaves, it falls apart. So you'll see here where we start is the foundation. And this is the structure of the firm. So we start by defining your service model. In other words, what are the services you're offering and why? Who are they for? Do they align with the larger goals of the agency? For example, do you have a desire to scale to 2 or 3x what you currently are? Your service model probably needs refined so that you can get there. Financial model pairs with that, and that means what are we charging? What are our delivery margins? What does our cash flow look like? What is our overall strategy for financial stability and overall profitability? And again, this goes back to what's the snapshot of today, and then how are we going to build a bridge to where we want to be? And then lastly, we look at your staffing model. So, how are we executing and delivering upon the services that we have decided will yield our service stack? And do we have the right people in seat for executing the work? And same thing here, we take a look at what the snapshot is today, and then what is the staffing model that we need to build in order to help you reach your goals. How all of this works together might mean, okay, we need to hit certain financial metrics in order to hire the next hire that you want on your team. Maybe that is a director of client service, so you can, as a founder, step out of the day-to-day of client work. Maybe it's a strategist because that's the big missing link to providing the quality of service that you're looking for your clients. Or maybe there is a specific service that you want to offer and currently you don't. So we're constantly looking at how these 3 different models overlap, not just to give you a an effective agency for today, but how these will evolve over the next 6, 12, 18, 24 months in order for you to have a very clear roadmap to get from where you are to where you want to be. Once we have the foundation in place, we're looking at strategy and the different strategies you need to have in place to effectively run your firm. And I guess not just effectively run your firm, but run it really well and be a leading force in your industry. So we're looking at your positioning strategy. How are you positioning yourself in your market, the clients that you're reaching, the services that you're offering, and then what is your competitive advantage? We're then looking at what's your lead generation strategy. So, how are you getting new leads into the firm, specifically to feed that service model and the financial model that you've built? And then we're also looking at what's your retention strategy. Do you have a retention strategy to not just keep the book of business that you have, but grow it over time? What many agencies don't know is when we're looking under the hood, so to speak, of tons and tons of different P&Ls for agencies, the bulk of growth comes from expanding the value that you're providing to current clients. We all know that it is much cheaper, easier, oftentimes more fun to keep the clients and grow the clients that we have than to go out and hunt for new ones. And then lastly, on the strategy front, we're looking at your operational strategy, which honestly is pretty much what we put together for our clients. So over the next 12 to 18 months, what are the operational priorities that you need to focus on to have a healthy, stable, scalable agency? Once we have that in place, we're looking at systems. And typically the systems fall into two buckets: client delivery and agency health. So client delivery, that means usually when we're thinking about processes and someone is talking about processes inside of an agency, it's client delivery. So how are we delivering the work, onboarding clients, reporting, offboarding clients? And then in addition to that, what is the system we're using to share assignments, keep track of work, monitor work, overall project manage? This includes the tech stack usually, and what tools and technology are we using to deliver the client work, and then what is the actual process and system for getting work from your employees' hands into your clients' hands. And then we're also looking at systems for overall agency health. So this means, how are we monitoring profitability month over month? What are the different metrics that make sense for you to improve, focus on, track, assign different KPIs to the team? So those are the two different buckets of systems. And then above that, we have staff. We know in the professional services world, our companies are nothing without our people. And so we're looking at the two biggest pillars for supporting success of staff inside of an agency are culture. So what is, there are so many different ways we can slice and dice the conversation of culture, but we're looking at how you're building, maintaining culture for your specific agency model. And then we're also looking at clarity, which is incredibly important for everyone knowing exactly what their jobs are. What do growth trajectories look like? How are you holding team members responsible and accountable for the duties that have been assigned to them? And do you overall have a way to ensure that everyone on the team is on the same page? So this essentially takes the staffing model and explodes this out so that you are able to manage the day-to-day of your team in a very effective and granular manner. And that means holding people accountable, managing team in a way that aligns with your current business model, and ensuring that essentially at the end of the day, everyone is rowing their rowboat in the same direction. And then this entire pyramid ladders up to a shared vision, and that is values, mission, and vision. And essentially everything that we're building is laddering up to achieving this shared vision with your team. So it's important for all of this to be defined, your values, how those values come to life inside of your business, what's your mission, what's your vision. But it's also incredibly important that those are defined and infused in every other portion of the pyramid. So the values, the mission, the vision, they really define the why and the how for how much of this is executed. So an agency that values speed over an agency that values strategy, and just spitballing here, the service model is probably going to be different. The staffing model is probably going to be different. And in order for this to have resonance with you as a founder, with your team, it all has to be infused with your values, mission, and vision. And that, in summary, is how we walk our agency clients through building a sustainable, scalable, and stable agency that they can grow in a way that is profitable, and essentially meets the goals that they've set for themselves, and not have a position where, like I mentioned at the top of the video, if one teeny tiny thing falls out of place, a team member, a client, a system breaks, it's easy to then go in and just fix that one little element versus having the cards fall completely to the ground and needing to build it back up. So enjoy, happy strategizing, and we're here for any questions.